There we go. The recording is live, and I can now welcome everybody to the SUSE QE Tools Workshop in February of 2023 with a topic where we also want to present something from our team, SUSE QE Tools. So over to Tina. Tina, you're already sharing a screen.
Yes, I'm sharing the Etherpad and I will paste the link. So yeah, you
Interesting.
all have the chance.
Do other guys see this screen? I see the icon that you're sharing something.
Okay.
I see the empty Etherpad.
That's good. So I misclicked something and now broken for myself.
Can you see me resizing the window?
I don't see the shared screen yet. I think I broke it by clicking on my avatar in the user list to focus me for a second.
I will reshare. Maybe
Uh,
that helps.
yeah, thank you. Thank you. That fixed it for me. Yeah. Yeah, I really think I triggered that problem, but okay, good. Right.
Okay. So yeah, today we want to talk a bit about about what actually. So story estimation or back usually done by the product manager, product owner. Um, so this includes tickets from the backlog to or the other task of talking about the stories and adding acceptance criteria. And there's also the term grooming, which is, I think, specifically this task, but it has some bad connotations, so it is not used that often anymore, I think. So yeah, let's talk about the general process of estimating first. By the way, I added a poll to the chat section. There is a poll tab. Would be interested if you are actually doing such estimation or backlog refinement meetings in your team. What you probably heard about is t-shirt sizes. This is a common thing. Other things as story points. And so the estimation can be about how long do you think will it take? It means just the time when it starts and when the story is resolved. And another metric could be how much person hours might this take. So this is something you have to define for your team, what you want to use. And there can also be rules like if we estimate that the ticket has a size XL, then we would like to break it down because it is too much for one ticket. And sorry. And what you can do also so estimating the stories can yeah, be a help with deciding which tickets should go in to the backlog first. But yeah, it can also help to compare afterwards how long the tickets actually took, and then you can see. So you estimate the tickets with size S, and in reality, how long did they take? And then you can, yeah, do the estimations a little bit better in the future if you know actually what size does mean what time frame. So yeah, 4 people have answered that they actually are doing such meetings. Okay. So in our team, we are not doing such fine grain on what work your team is actually doing, if this is really necessary or useful. And for us, we decided to just say if a ticket has size M, good, and if it would have then up, and we really just have M and L, and sometimes we have S, but we really want to, in our meeting, just decide if a ticket to work on or not. Yeah, Phoenix, you raised your hand. I cannot hear.
Can't hear you yet. See that what happens if you do a tumbleweed upgrade just before the meeting. So whenever it works for you, shout out and try out.
So can you hear me now?
Yeah, works.
Yep.
Tumbleweed is great. And Dina, because you said it, how do you estimate the t-shirt sizes? Is this something that the report of the ticket does, or is this a group effort?
How do we estimate the
Is
t-shirt
it
size?
just a reporter of the ticket, or is it a group effort?
Exactly.
That yeah, that would be a group effort, and yeah, in a company where I worked, we had the process that so we had a team that was split into front end and back end, but everyone of the team would hold up a card with the t-shirt size. So everyone had a set of cards, and we said, okay, now we want to estimate, and everyone would hold up a card. Even front end people would estimate back end tickets and the other way around. And if the sizes were differing a lot, then we would ask people, hey, why do you think this will be an XL? And then people would start saying why they think, and maybe yeah, ask specific questions, and in
How,
that process,
how
yeah.
do you do it right now? Just because you said that you are doing it, how does that happen in your squad right now? Or did I got that wrong?
So in our team, we do not use very detailed t-shirt sizes. We just use M or L, and sometimes also S, but it's not really important. So we just divide the tickets in. They are okay from the size. They are okay to work on, or they are too big. Then they have to be split up. So it's
And
not that detailed, and everyone just yeah. If
May I share from my point of view?
yeah.
I would say the goal is that, I mean, we have the ticket status workable, and that's the goal. We want to make tickets workable. Workable means that we know that there is an end because we estimated that it's a reasonable effort, and M means, you know, in time, it roughly means that we meet our cycle time of tickets, which is 14 days. being that after 14 days, normally we should resolve a task unless there are, blockers in between prolonging it, but the effort doesn't increase. And it should also help that everybody participating in the estimation, and that should be everybody. So similar to what Tina said regarding back and front, and we don't have the distinction in our team, but we do have some specialization and distinction in the team. But still, everybody is invited to join for estimating, and then they know from experience from before and from which area this is about. Is it comparable to what we worked on in the past? Is it feasible to do that within a reasonable time? And is it refined enough so that anyone can start? The important part is that we would really know where to start.
Okay, so yeah, I will go into the process actually in a bit more detail, but does that answer the question for now?
Partly, it's Oliver. How or who is going to assign the size to the ticket? Is this the reporter? Is this the product owner? Or do you do this in a refinement session where you are then saying this is a M ticket, this is a L ticket? Or do you start with a suggestion and you're only discussing it if there are disagreements on this one? What
Well,
is
yeah, personally, I tried as a product owner. I'm bringing in most of the tickets either because I create them myself or because maybe you or others external users create ticket, and I refrain from putting any estimate there because that would be um, that would be tricky to impose on the team on things like, yeah, I think it's an easy task for you, right? So I'm not giving any estimate there. And I think, Tina, you wanted to demonstrate also with the Etherpad how we would actually do that within the team in the refinement meeting.
Yeah, right.
Mhm.
Okay, so but first I want to maybe yeah, list the goals of the actual refinement, and maybe you have other ideas too. So that's what yeah, Ollie already mentioned actually. So one goal is that ideally every team member would be able to work on a story themselves alone, or of course it's allowed to work on a story with more people than just one. But yeah, people do know what it is about, and yeah, hopefully all open questions are answered in the ticket itself. And yeah, this is about reducing the buzz factor, for example. So if yeah, a team member that knows a lot about a thing gets run over by a bus, then someone else has to be able to take over. And another goal is that the task should be clear, and we are less likely implementing something that was never wanted that way, because I think we don't have this process. We didn't have this process all the time in the team, and yeah, if there's no such process and people just take a ticket from the backlog that some customer has created, then it can happen that they do implement something that we actually don't want, or it might take too long in the end. And yeah, so that is also a goal of the refinement. Can you think of other goals here? Otherwise, I would go into the process.
Yep. Limit. You said like limit the effort on a ticket to ensure that we don't overdo it. Right?
Yeah.
So that we have the important part here, I would say, is that we have feedback within a reasonable time. It doesn't need to be that we have all the work completed. But this is why we split work sometimes into reasonable chunks, so that after a reasonable time, which is some days, we are calling something complete, or we want to finish with something which is um, uh, just the usual term of potentially shippable product increment, so that we can actually collect feedback from team colleagues, code review, or from actual users input.
Okay. Yeah, you can also add items yourself if you want in the Etherpad. And so yeah, the meeting, we discuss the stories within the team. So there's one moderator who opens ticket by ticket and reads out the most important information for everyone so that everyone is on the same page, because there are people who might know already about the ticket and some might not. And then we answer open questions. So this might be just trivial questions like, so when we took over the QEM bot in our team, I didn't know where this actually was located, the code. And so we add links to GitHub, for example, or GitLab. And oh yeah. And and then we also add acceptance criteria. So we have motivation, observation, we have acceptance criteria. Oops. And there's also a section usually about suggestions where we add already yeah, suggestions like this could be related to this bug and stuff like that. And yeah, in this meeting, like I said before, we also might break down stories into smaller ones. Yeah. And we also bring up older stories. So there might actually be tickets that where someone already has been working on it, but it didn't work, and it's maybe not clear what the task is actually about. It changed a little bit, and then we talk about it again and might actually split it up in that second meeting.
So that could be stories which we had seen as workable already in before, and then something problematic showed up or something new popped up, and then somebody decides, like the person working on the team, like, yeah, okay, I think we should bring it back to the refinement and actually estimate.
Yeah. Oh, there's actually another question. Do you do refactoring as part of the implementation task and estimate thus bigger, or do you create separate tickets for refactoring? Refactoring ideally can be a part of the ticket itself. So we always try to improve things, and that might include a refactoring. Of course, if it's a big refactoring, then yeah, we might actually create a separate ticket for it. We have done that in the past. So we did some refactoring of ISO to video recently, for example. So yeah, that depends. But ideally, we have time also in the tickets to improve things and add tests, for example. Yeah. And side effects are actually sometimes a ticket is already half solved in the meeting because we start, throwing in our thoughts, and maybe sometimes that goes too far because we only have 1 hour in a week. But yeah, it can happen that we actually say, oh, this might. So one person says, oh, this might be related to that, and the other person says, oh yeah, and yeah, it can be that it's already solved then, or almost, just because the right people are in the same meeting in the right combination. And so that's good. And sometimes unsolvable stories are planned for a so-called mob session. So we realize in the estimation meeting, or maybe also in another meeting, that this might actually be too complicated for one person, and we say, okay, we sit together next week for 2 hours and try to do this together. And yeah, maybe I thought we could actually try to do a ticket estimation here. Maybe it's not the best example, but just so you see how this would
I think
work.
it's perfect. Just do that. So as a note to everyone, we do use that very same Etherpad during the estimation meeting. So what Tina is showing is, except of course for the introduction text, this is for the workshop, but the rest is exactly how we do the meeting.
Yeah. So we all go into the Etherpad, and the ticket description is copied into there. And so I created that ticket. I already added the observation section. And so the observation is that OpenQA does not build on PPC LE64 anymore, since we removed no arc. So I already have an idea and put it into the title. And yeah, some might actually not know what I'm talking about in a ticket. So I would.
There was a pull request where you removed the no arch, so I will include the link to that. Okay.
Thank you.
So I can write in suggestion, see what has been done. This, I think this should give some context for anyone picking up the ticket so that you will be able to follow that pull request. Then go on.
Yeah, we might take a quick look. So before we had built arc no arc in our OpenQA spec file, because we just don't care about the architecture, but for some specific reason that we have some strange macro using at a later point, we actually do now have to use architecture builds, but for some reason we can now get this.
Normally for a ticket describing a problem or a bug, we don't need acceptance criteria because it's implicit, like the problem that should be obvious shouldn't happen again. But here I think we can be a bit more explicit. So I'm adding acceptance criteria and saying there Devil OpenQA packages built consistently on Power. Again, how would one check that? Yeah, only no failed nor unresolvable, right? Or is this only failed? So this is not about resolvable, right? No, just
Yeah,
yeah. So
this
no
one. Yeah.
failed.
Yeah, we actually have another ticket currently, which is about unresolvable. Yeah, and yeah, this could also be a point where any one of you could ask other questions. Like if you don't know what you're talking about, just yeah, bring up your question. Because we want to make sure that the whole team would be able to work on this. So I think I also added this suggestion, and I think that's only for the devil package, so it might not be related at all.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So we would ask everyone, and I feel like I need to remind the team to sometimes to not try to solve the ticket immediately. So maybe sometimes people are going a bit too deep already, and we can actually cut it short and say, whenever we have the majority of people saying like it's an M, then we are done with estimating. So we would ask everyone participating, and then we hear like, yeah, it's an M for me and workable.
And maybe somebody says, can we fork Chrome driver, make our own version to change the problem?
And then I would say, better consider that out of scope.
but I was hoping that someone maybe might know about this exact problem. But yeah, if you know about this RPM build error, let me know.
Okay, so maybe we can add another suggestion and say, ask around in OBS or packaging groups if they know similar problems and solutions.
Yeah,
No,
devil
doesn't harm
this
to.
one. Okay.
Okay, so
Yeah,
let's assume we would agree it's an M. What would you do then with this text in Etherpad?
yeah, so I would ask around. Can we estimate that everyone ideally would say M? And yeah, if someone says L, then we need to think about it. And then yeah, I copy this back into the ticket. No. So, and then we set the ticket to workable, and we actually add the size. And the main reason for that is that we can filter for estimated tickets by looking for the size in the title. Did I? Yeah. And
I think it was just a demo. I think that counts still. I would say we can take that as a valid estimate.
yeah, I think so. Okay, so that was yeah, how it works for us. And it's really important to note that, like I said before, that the estimation, the fine-grained estimation can be helpful. But in our team, we have so different kind of tasks, and yeah, fine-grained estimations would be a lot of effort and would not bring us much benefit. So, and the important part of the meeting is really that people get together and ask questions. And yeah, like I said, the right combination of people might already give some good hints, and everyone should feel free to ask really dumb questions in this meeting. And it happens like someone asks, am I the only one who doesn't understand this part of the story? And someone else says, yeah, but I wasn't sure if I should ask. And so yeah, this is really important, and everyone should feel enabled to just start working on this ticket when it's estimated. Are there any other suggestions? What would you also do in such meetings?
I think I can, what you just said, I would put it as a fourth goal, if I may. Everyone knows at least where to start, because starting is the hardest, especially for what you said, because we have such quite a diverse work area. So likely that we encounter tickets often where we say like, yeah, okay, I just was working on, I don't know, refactoring some Python code, and then the next one is about bootstrapping a server installation or salt management.
Yeah. Yeah, Phoenix?
Just a quick question. When you do the refinement meetings, how many tickets do you typically are able to refine in which time span?
Hmm. We usually have, oh yeah, that's also important. We usually have 1 hour per week for this meeting, but we also do estimations, yeah, spontaneously in the daily meeting in the morning, especially if there are urgent tickets. And it differs a lot. Sometimes we spend the whole meeting with just 2 tickets or so, but yeah, maybe 10
Up
tickets on
to
average.
10 is possible, but I would say we commonly take a look on what you said about the urgency. I mean, if there are if the problem is that we don't really have enough workable tickets and we have 10 not so high priority tickets, then we are quicker, churning the tickets. If we know that there are enough workable tickets, there are not so many new tickets, but maybe they are of high priority or urgent, then we spend more time on each ticket, uh, already doing part of the solving. Actually, I think that's fine.
Yeah.
Thank you. And do you need to refine all the tickets, or is this more of a effort that you focus on the high priority tickets and the ones that are not unclear?
I'm not sure. Did you get it, Ollie?
Yeah. So do we refine all tickets? Is that a strict requirement, or do we just do that on high tickets? I would say the priority is not the factor. The we should aim for estimating all tickets, yes. But to give you some exceptions, let's say there's an urgent ticket popping up today in the morning, and I'm the only one awake, then I pick up that ticket and work on it. And maybe I'm able to finish before the others are even up for any kind of estimation meeting. That's completely fine, yeah, if it's getting done. But if somebody picks up a ticket and which is not in new status anymore because it's actually in progress, people work on it, and we see that during the estimation call, then we also refine and estimate those tickets while they are already being worked on. You mentioned that we filter for by this word, and I think that's the main reason why we could just filter for new tickets, right? But we look for we have a query. Could you show that query? Do you have it ready?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one. So those are the non-estimated unblocked issues from our backlog. And you see that we look for that keyword size. And then below that, you see that there are tickets of different category statuses. You see that there are 8 new tickets. So those are the primary candidates that you could think of. You know, nobody has seen the ticket before. Nobody has worked on them. Fine. So we can work on them. Then we have 2 in progress tickets. So they had been started already. We didn't estimate them, which is fine. There are only 2, so it's an exception. That's completely fine. And then there are 6 in feedback. And that's more likely to happen because there can be cases where somebody's just picking up a ticket and says like, the first thing for this ticket I need is to get external feedback, or maybe we are waiting for like a ticket to engineering infrastructure. Okay, we would use block there, but you know, maybe the first obvious task of a ticket is to collect feedback from you guys from a group chat. So then it's likely that we pick it up and we keep it assigned, and we only estimate it afterwards when we have that additional information.
Yeah. Any more questions?
I have a question to you, Tina. Do you think this process is useful, or you know, could we just save the time and do actual work within this 1 hour, or you said sometimes even more?
Yeah, it's really it's 1 hour per week, and I think it feels very effective to me. And I'm also always looking forward to this meeting. So yeah, for us it works out well, and I can encourage everyone to try something like that. And like I said, it can be very different depending on the kind of work you have in your team. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I like it.
Cool, thank you. We didn't rehearse that, by the way, so I didn't know what Tina was saying. But I would assume that you wouldn't present the process and afterwards said it's used.
Yeah.
All right. Any other questions or by anyone else? Or does anybody want to share the experience from your teams, how you do that and how it differs, and maybe describe, well, either what's better or what's not better, or maybe just what's different? Oh, okay. Then I have one more question to you, Tina, which is about we demonstrated that one example, which turned out fine because we said like, yeah, okay, this ticket is workable, and we didn't even change the title, so it was completely fine. What are some other cases that could happen where we don't end up with just taking the ticket as is?
There, it's hard to think about examples. I mean, there are many cases where we actually, yeah, have to add points like the observation could also be unclear, and for example, it's not clear if something is sporadic or not.
Mm-hmm.
So we just get a bug report and we don't know, hey, how often does this actually happen? And
So what can we estimate those tickets then?
Making itself, if that bug is sporadic or not. And if not, then we might actually might actually have to find out ourselves as part of the ticket, or ask people, and it might be feasible to estimate it anyway. If finding out that information, if we estimate that it can be done in a reasonable time.
Yeah. There are some other things that I could think of that could happen. For example, where we say, okay, we shouldn't actually estimate this ticket as such, but do a spike solution first, a time-boxed approach, where we say like invest 10 or 20 hours. So we really limit the time. After that time, you stop the work. And the goal of those tasks is not to end up with something that is code merged or deployed or problem fixed, but really that we would be able to estimate the original ticket. Then we would create a new ticket with the according keywords in the subject. We would block the original ticket without having any estimate. And as soon as we have completed that time box task with additional information that the assignee of that time box task should have added to the original ticket, then we go into the estimation again and give it another try. Or it could happen that we all agree like, yeah, okay, this is too big. We won't be able to finish that within a reasonable time. Then we change the original ticket into an epic. And for epics, we don't give an estimate because the epics are like containers for multiple stories. And then the individual points we identified, we create tickets from those. And normally then in the same process, we estimate those newly created tickets. Do you remember other examples and cases we had?
No, I'm trying to think of examples, but
We had one, I mean, the last estimating was yesterday, and we had this one example yesterday, a ticket that I created. What was the subject? It was like something completely different than what we ended up with, right?
really, I don't remember that.
We did estimate it, but we said that the subject is not really anymore about okay, so what Tina is showing is our complete backlog. And this one, yeah, the second one.
Okay.
If you scroll to the bottom, please, then we see the diff. Yes, we see the diff. So I was creating a ticket which was saying missing OS audience changes in changelog email, ? Okay, because we have those emails to the OpenQA at SUSE mailing list whenever we deploy OpenQA SUSE. And I realized that seemingly no recent changes are listed for OS audience. And then it turned out during discussing that for longer in the estimation that it's actually there are specific hosts like this QA Power 84 KVM, which is wasn't deployed anymore with updates of OS audience, which again is linked to the story we just estimated about. We are missing new builds of the PowerPC package of the OpenQA worker, or in that case, in that case, OS audience. But yeah, but I mean, it's related to there was simply no package installed on some workers, even though the majority of the workers have received the update of OS. So this was quite a surprise because I thought something is wrong with how we generate the changelog, but it turns out everything that is in the actual changes of package shows up in the changelog, but from just the host which have a problem in deploying those. So that was funny.
Yep, finding out that the bug is actually a different one. And yeah, so it turns out it's unresolvable because of some tesseract OCR. Okay. any more questions? Then we might also finish early.
Sure.
Yeah, thank you for listening. And yeah, if you have any more questions about this, feel free to reach us. And have a nice Friday.
Yep. Thank you all and see you.
Thank you, Tina.